Hi there, me, I've never seen it.
Honor should now fear it.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Rupees Over Ramen, the show where we talk about animation, creativity, creative process, and tons of other nerdy stuff.
Today we are here with my friend Kyle. He's a photographer. He likes shooting birds with cameras, not guns. And we're gonna be talking about Gravity Falls, Over the Garden Wall, photography, and just those good old adventuring vibes. And a little bit of camping as well. So thank you so much for coming on the show, Kyle. It's good to have you here.
Yeah, thanks, James. Yeah, it's nice to kind of get to talk about some creative stuff and share my own thoughts and my own views on the kind of how I see things. Not only the world, but like these shows that honestly I love. I love these shows so much. So
yeah, it's interesting too, because like we were roommates in college and you really gave me a different perspective on a lot of things, especially Gravity Falls. Because I saw that show before, like little pieces of it. I'm like, I am never watching that show, like ever. It's not happening. Sorry. But then I started watching it and realizing like connections that it has in like values about family. It also tackles a lot of coming of age, finding yourself themes as well, which I think is pretty amazing.
no, I totally agree. It's so much of a deeper show than I think people often realize. It's has so much good meaning and I mean some ridiculous and mindless humor, which is always nice, but very good moral and meaning behind a lot of it.
So if you could give me 5-second intro of like what you do as a photographer, you can take a second to think about it. Give your little intro about what you do.
Yeah, for photography, I mainly go for nature and wildlife, particularly right now, like kind of birds, but I'm kind of branching out to more landscape. Yeah, I just want to show the beauty of the natural world is kind of my main goal here. So
that's awesome. That's super cool. We had some really awesome times being able to just kind of go out and adventure, going out to like the dunes and stuff. It was really good stuff. Kind of diving right into this with Gravity Falls. Like I said before, I hadn't really known much about it until me, Kyle, and then our other roommates watched it together, and it was a really cool bonding experience and really cool time just being able to watch that. And then after that, I decided to kind of do some research into like who Alex Hirsch is, the guy who created Gravity Falls, and just really connected with him on a lot of levels. Because when you Google him, it says like voice actor, director, storyboard artist, animator, and it's just like crazy that he does all of that. And he does a lot of that for the show. He does a lot of the voices, like Bill Cipher. Are we going to talk about spoilers in this? Is that okay? Or are we going to try to keep
no,
that
yeah,
on
we
the
have
down
to talk
low?
about spoilers.
Cool.
We have to talk
cool.
about all the crazy stuff.
Sweet. One of the things that was really interesting for me watching the show, and for those who have seen it, you know, there's like that huge twist near the ending where you find out that Grunkle Stan has like a twin brother, and it like explains all of these things that have been throughout the whole plot. I had kind of a sad experience, I guess, of I was interested in it a little bit a while ago, like before watching it with my roommates, and I had seen a clip of the two of them like standing together. I had no like context of what it was, but I was like, so I kind of already knew that was coming. But even with that, it was still like a super powerful moment. And I was like, dang, that was done so well that even me knowing about what was coming, I was still kind of blown away by it, which was really cool.
Yeah, and what's so cool is I feel like a lot of shows that do that, you can blame it on they literally just had nothing to do with it leading up to it. There is no clues. But going back, yeah, I mean, when I was watching with you, you can spot all of these different clues that totally hint at the fact that he has a brother and that big reveal moment. So I feel like it's just such a great story aspect that I think Alex Hirsch did a phenomenal job with.
And it's really cool too because he based the story off of kind of him growing up with his sister. I think her name was Ariel. But he kind of based it off of his whole experience with that and like the difference that it made in his life, which I think was super cool. Moving forward a bit, there's some super awesome characters in Gravity Falls. Like you guys probably know about like Dipper and Mabel Pines, even if you haven't seen the show. You've probably seen them, little pictures and stuff of them and stuff. There's like Seuss and there's Grunkle Stan. And there's that really weird guy. I can't remember what his name is. But
Toby?
Yeah, Toby. Toby Determined. There's like an apocalypse episode, and yeah, it's pretty good stuff.
I like doing his voice. I like to mimic Toby's voice.
Yeah, no, the voice acting and just like the different characters is so cool. And one of the things that I thought was really cool is a lot of shows like in stories like Spider-Man or Avengers or whatever usually take place in like New York or London or like some big town, and this took place in like the Pacific Northwest, like in Oregon. And I think that's like super cool, like that they did it like that. And there's this quote, it's like near the end of the show. I just wanted to read through it because it's such a cool moment. Like the end of the show is pretty amazing. If you've ever taken a road trip through the Pacific Northwest, you've probably seen a bumper sticker for a place called Gravity Falls. It's not on any maps, and most people have never heard of it. Some people think it's a myth, but if you're curious, don't wait. Take a trip, find it. It's out there somewhere in the woods, waiting. And I think that's really cool because it's not just like, it's for Dipper and Mabel and their journey as characters and in their character arc and like kind of figuring out who they are, but it's also for the audience and the viewers. Like for us to be like those mysterious things and those things that bring us joy, like go take that trip, like find those things that are waiting for you out in the woods.
Yeah, no, and I think it almost makes it seem more real, the fact that it almost brings it into our own world. And I mean, and I've seen some really bizarre things when I go out and look for animals or nice landscapes. It is like it's almost inviting you to find the weird things in our own world, which I think is cool.
Yeah, no, I think it's super cool too. I've had some interesting just like a quick story. I think I told you this story maybe, but I was camping with my friends. I was much younger. I was like a Cub Scout. We had set up camp and stuff, and we're like, hey, let's go on a hike and just kind of walk through the woods. And it started getting dark. So we're like, okay, we got to get heading back. I think there's this thing about people, no one can really, it's hard to walk in a straight line. That's what I discovered because we kind of turned around and we're like, where are we? And it's dark too. So we're just kind of have our flashlights and we're looking around. And we kind of shine our flashlight down and we see this little like grave, like a little gravestone. And I'm like, how did this happen? We are in a graveyard in the middle of the woods. And I was so freaked out. And I was just kind of started running like, or just going faster. Cause I was like, I'm not sticking around here to see who's waiting for me on the other side of that grave. And we ran out and we made it to the main road, which we knew if we followed it, it would lead us back to the campsite eventually. So we just started walking along the main road. And as we're walking, it was like this kind of one of those moments that you're like, is this even real? Like, what is this? It was just like a super serene moment. And like we looked up, I kid you not, there was like a silhouette in the sky and it looked like Hagrid on like his like motorcycle with the little sidecar. That's the shape that was in the sky. And it was just kind of flying by. And I was just like, man, wonder where he's going. So yeah, it was just super cool. Another thing with the story of Gravity Falls is it kind of focuses around a lot of like paranormal stuff. Dipper, he finds this journal and he's kind of looking for the author of this journal. And it starts out having like this mystery type vibe. Kind of reminded me of Scooby-Doo a little bit since I grew up watching that. You too, as a viewer, you're like, who is this author? And there's like this shapeshifter dude. For a second, you think that's the author. And it turns out he's just a guy on a can of beans. I think it's really cool how they set you up and then totally subvert your expectation. You're like, yeah, this is exactly how it's going to be. You see Grunkle Stan go down into this elevator, like at the end of an episode, and you're like, what is he doing down there? And you're like, no, like we were watching it with our roommate Scott, and he's like, no, is Grunkle Stan like a villain? Like, I can't, no, he's too good. And it was just really cool to have this emotional connection with the characters. It really inspired me a lot in wanting to tell more stories that have that emotional connection, stories that really make an impact on people.
Yeah, no, and I always think that those connections are always like so hard to do, but like they really pay off because then I feel like it almost makes it seem like they're family to you in a weird way. So it just makes it all the more heartbreaking and more satisfying, I guess, in the end of that.
Yeah, it's kind of like I know this character and like I've been there with them as they went through these things. Like I know that guy who was locked in the little pool thing overnight as the water started coming in, and you can like relate to that.
Solitary.
Yeah. It's pretty good. Gravity Falls is a super awesome story. It really captures that feeling of exploration and adventuring into the unknown and really things that are larger than life. Living in a world that, even though Gravity Falls, like the series really only takes place in like this little like secluded town in Oregon, there's so much world building and things going on within that world that are super cool. And we're going to be diving into that a little bit more in the next episode. Thank you guys so much for coming along on this journey, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Negro, no, I did look